Hello, and welcome to another, well, one of these with another roster. So, today we got a request to see the beginner-friendly fight the Moonsault, the Clover Knight, and Shatter. So, seeing as there's three of them, basically just going to do best 2 out of 3 in each of these scenarios. So the beginner-friendly is one of Royal's ACs, as is meant to be kind of a noob-friendly kind of build, which I'm pretty sure people have gotten and tried out at some point. These parts are generally pretty popular, pretty solid arms and legs, or that everyone starts with, and that head's pretty cool looking. The tri-missile thing, I don't know if everyone's really figured out. Personally, I didn't even figure out what the deal was with missile extensions until like my third playthrough. Granted, I was a bit of a dumb kid, but, you know, there's that. Anyhow, let's go ahead and test them up and see what happens here. Okay, we got Murky Waters as the new roster. Alright, so first against the Moonsault, which I have to say is pretty severely upgraded in later 3rd gen. That rifle is pretty friggin' amazing by comparison. Oh, why are we slowing down so much? Texture scan. Oh, there we go. Problem solved. I forgot to mess with my settings. This is a new thing, by the way, that's totally never happened like 100 times before. Alright. So, alright. What's this thing called? Noob friendly? Best, or newbie friend? I don't know. The new guy. We'll just call him the new guy. Seems to be doing alright so far. He's set to be pretty defensive. Set to be, pretty quick moving. Actually, this thing in general is just pretty fast and effective. I like it. The rifle's not the best in the world in later 3rd gen, but it's still pretty decent. If Moonsault were to get close, he wouldn't really have a whole lot that he could do. Just because that thing's double laser rifles and machine guns, just across the board, got really beefed up in later 3rd gen. As you can kind of see there, it's easily just tearing right through them. Early 3rd gen, no, you could just completely buff out the damage they did and just downright beat them down in a friggin' hallway. Because they decided to stick their ultra lightweight into a tall hallway where you can't maneuver. What a good choice. Meanwhile, their guy that actually specializes in close range stuff decides to go fight you straight in the open. Oh well. I guess it would have been a little... Well, actually, I don't know if it would have been anticlimactic. It would have been kind of cool if he actually ended up doing the entire mission the other way around. Where you end up, just going down with no fights whatsoever. And then you get to the controller and you go and you get your stuff out of there. Like, I haven't fought a single thing this entire time. And then you turn around and then you got like Moonsault and Clover Knight there. So that'd be something. Then, yeah, you like fight both of them, and then you're going on that elevator on the way up, and then Cypress comes down, and you're like, oh crap. Friggin' Cypress. Except you can't do anything because he's in super close range. You just like repeatedly beat the hell out of him for being a jerk in 3. Oh, you okay over there? Yeah, we're okay over there. We got a little bit too excited with our food. Oh wait, this is mascots. This isn't the one I wanted at all. Okay. Then we got Murky Waters. Once again. So far, Moonsault's winning it. Like I said, he's really good in FF. So that's going to be a little bit of a different story. Most of his parts are the same, too, so... Yeah, the beginner-friendly here, it was remade exactly as it said in the video and worked out just fine. So it's all good there. As far as this guy, yeah, pretty much everything's the same visually as far as his parts go. The same parts carried over pretty well. The boosters somehow don't really roast him. You'd think they kind of would, given the setup. Sometimes he will run himself into charging, though it's pretty rare. Just in general, all of his stuff is better now. Except for those legs. Those legs still suck. Okay, so I'm gonna say Moonsault's pretty much gonna win this one. Just because of the aforementioned beefs that he got. I know, they're buffs, but I like calling them beefs. He was beefy. There we go. We slashed him. Sorry, newbie. He did not survive. Actually, though, as a bit of an extra, I think I'm going to toss in the remade Cypress in this as well. Just for them funsies. Alright, so. He tried to fight him. Didn't work out so hot. Alright. Next. We're gonna go for Cypress. This is not the right save. Where the hell did I put Cypress? There we go, he's under weirdos. Because he's a friggin' weirdo. There we go. There's Shade. So again, best 2 out of 3 against this guy. Let us see what happens. Alright, big open area. So obviously he couldn't use his floating chain guns and all that, so he's been given mid-rockets. They generally function the same way as a long-range pressure weapon, so I figured close enough. Feels like if he had to not use OPI, this is probably what he'd go with. He's kind of doing a similar twitching around thing. He's been given napalm rockets along with his pistol, because while that pistol is awesome and all that, it doesn't cause the overheat that the original pistol did. None of them do. So I just kind of decided to give him this one, because it looks cooler and fires faster, and then just give him the napalm rockets to emulate that same overheat potential. But alright, the beginner friendly is holding out pretty well against this thing, actually. Actually, I think he's going to beat Cypress. Alright. Go back to your pop career, Cypress. Yeah. I mean, he's not nearly as effective as the original, but it's pretty close. As far as the whole firing from above thing, I tried and tried to make that whole orbit cannon thing work. It just wasn't happening. Just no matter what, he would just run himself into charging over and over and over while firing those things, and really no amount of tweaks would make that effective with the way that he fights. So finally just ended up going for this. He does kind of that long-range floaty thing, and unfortunately what he would do, he would just keep, he'd keep trying to float around and do his usual thing, fire himself into charging as soon as he launched a volley of those things, and that was it, really. He would just float around, then he'd be kind of stuck charging for a little bit, he'd come back, he'd do the same thing again and again, and he would just leave himself wide open for a counter every time he did that. Well, he's winning so far. Winning so far. I mean, I have to say, generally speaking, it's the same kind of concept generally applies with this guy, because if you stand still, he's going to hit you with a bunch of nasty stuff. If you're moving around, he's going to have a much harder time. Other than his pistol, which didn't have much ammunition, in 3, he had a really hard time hitting with his chain gun because he didn't track worth a crap. Also, apparently he's out of ammo. How about that? Alright. Nice. Oh man, he's just like jousting him now. I gotta show off my blading skills. And yeah, he does have the primer. Obviously his blade damage was ridiculous, so there we go. Killed off with the blade. Good job, beginner. The newbie did it. Alright. Let's go for another one. I'm assuming it'll go the same way, but you never know. You never really know. Unfortunately, there's no, like, controller hub map. That would have been pretty cool. There we go. Let's observe that wall a little bit. You do your triple missile awesomeness. It's actually funny because, yeah, so I never really figured out this whole, like, extension and basic missile thing my first few times through the game. Through any of the games, really. I'm really referring to 3, because I was kind of 2 and 3 were the 2 big ones when I was growing up. And 2, I just kept doing really basic builds over and over, and then just curb stomping the game repeatedly until I started just getting into all kinds of weird builds. But no, when it came to 3, that's when I started getting really curious about some of the builds, especially with missile extensions and things like that being more prevalent. So, and at any rate, kinda, I kept kind of scoffing at the idea, because it's like, yeah, you can just lock on 6 times if you're using this basic one, or you can just fire 3 if you're using this starter launcher and those 2 things, so it must clearly be worse. And that whole firing much more at one time thing never really clicked in my head for some reason. Oh dang, he's getting that pressure down on beginner here. No, I think Yeah, I think the beginner can just basically buff out his damage now. The shell isn't enough to hurt him, the rockets are enough to stun him, but he's able to recover from the overheat. It's actually funny, they said that the multiple damage thing had started in 5th gen, but realistically it kind of started in 3rd. Because it's basically the same thing. You had heat guns, shell guns, energy guns, and yeah, sure, the heat guns did shell damage too, but all things considered, you know, you were still kind of balancing out your energy, shell, and heat, for all intents and purposes. It's just, it seems like it was a lot easier to internalize when it was shell energy, and then heat was just something that built up. Doing the whole, you know, I stuck acid bullets in my machine gun nonsense didn't exactly work. And also, alright, Cat, that's hilarious, but how about you don't? Cat just decided to sit on my controller cord and disconnected it. Well, almost disconnected, I should say. There we go. Looks like Cypress is done. Even with the higher ammo rocket launchers, he just couldn't really keep up with the speed that the beginner's putting out here. Thankfully, because of how basic his build is, he doesn't have to dedicate a lot of energy towards anything else, so there we go. Looks like he's gonna get it. Cypress just barely survives with his last few AP there. I'm gonna go for that last blade slash, and just kind of sadly floated off screen. Alright, there we go. Moving on. So the final one here is not Moonsault, but Clover Knight. So, main alteration with Clover Knight, all the other parts were basically the same, except that she had to be given a better radiator to avoid outright melting, because they all like to use the basic one. So yeah, she was given, I think it was the Hazel 2, and then her gun was switched out for the Hollow, because obviously her other rifle wasn't available. But, you know what? Like, I was thinking about it for a little minute, and after testing it out, surprisingly, despite it being double the weight, it barely affected her speed at all. But also, look at the rest of her thing. Like, she's got this whole armor covered in gold thing going on. This thing fires gold lasers, you know what? So, like, I just saw that, I'm like, yep, practically the same damage. She's just gonna deal with the extra weight, because that seems like exactly the impractical crap that this lady would go for. Weird, gaudy golden AC. Although she's winning it so far. Hers is pretty much a counter to what the beginner's got going on, in which it's basically the same thing. It's just got energy weapons and missiles and more armor. So it's got a lot more defense coverage and a lot more offense coverage in general. It just doesn't have much speed, although it has just enough to keep up so far. All right, well, it's actually doing. Alright, the beginner's actually pulling it back now. That's good. Alright. Pull it back. Oh, there we go, that Hollow, that thing really fires. I mean, I think that's the main reason for the Hollow being so friggin' heavy by comparison. I think it's like 560 on the basic laser, and then this thing's like 1060. But, alright, she actually might get this. Yeah, there we go, she got it. Oh, no, he just pulled last minute dodge, and I guess the SMG those ones out. Come on, pull out a miracle, beginner. You can do it. 5 AP, do it! No. But see, that's what I love about these kinds of things, though. When you get to the point where, when you have the rifle-based ones, they always run out of their rifles first, and then they get into this weird kind of missile dodge fight at the very end. It looks so awesome. Alright, there we go. So came close, but didn't quite do it. At least he beat Cypress so far. So he didn't make it past the initial hallway, so it's a question as to how he even got over to these two, but we'll assume he's fighting them backwards. Okay. What are you doing? Beginner, that was a pretty poor show right there. Basically ate a bunch of hits and then completely missed after being wide open for a good 5-6 seconds. Oh man. Get on the ball, newbie. Alright, well, I guess he's doing okay with his missiles, but he's way behind at this point. So in general, I think the Clover Knight comes off a lot better in this particular iteration. Though obviously that thing sucked, like pretty friggin' severely in Silent Line, like comically so, because those missiles, well, the spread missiles were just super easy to dodge. I don't know why they gave them such a huge area that you could go through. They're slightly more accurate, it feels, in this one. Not so much on the first stage. They still spread about as far, but they seem to home in better. But then, yeah, well, there you go. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. So yeah, and then the last one is Shatter, if I can remember where the hell I put him. Alright, let's see. Not the Consortium. I don't think he was in Storms. Was he in Awesome? He was not awesome enough for Awesome, it would seem. Alright, what about Team 10? Actually, no. Maybe I think it was on Renegades. I was wrong on this, too. This is part of the reason that I started giving them more specific names later on. Shenanigans? I don't know. He was not pulling shenanigans either. Okay. Now little ones over in the background like, yep, check out my coughs. They're fun. Okay, I'm gonna try 2 more, and then if I can't find them, then we're just gonna call it there. There's one. Is he... Oh, I actually have to go anyway, because the little one's pulling some stuff, so either way, another time then.